Welcome to season 1, episode 8 of the IDK podcast. We'll be exploring human design today with Katielyn. Katie is a Twitch streamer and many other things. I would say Twitch streamer is probably one of the smaller things that you probably are involved in. But I'll give Katie a moment to introduce herself, talk a little bit about human design and who she is, and we'll get started exploring it. I'm excited. Welcome.
Hi. So as you said, my name's Katielyn, and the broad category of what I do really is Twitch streaming. But what kind of content do I classify myself as? I consider myself a psychic, and I do many things under that tree, not necessarily the ones that people would typically think of, like tarot and astrology. I actually do I work with gemstones for divination. I guess I just have a knowing with intuition, and my baby is human design. It really is, and that's where I am. That's where I got my focus, is on human design for what I put out to the world.
Okay. So yeah, so what I like to say pretty much is, and what I meant was basically that you are a psychic, a medium, very creative, like you are all these things, and you happen to choose Twitch to be the main platform that you're on. But like calling you a streamer, almost is kind of like, it's like not anywhere near descriptive enough. Do you know what I mean? It's just so general. Before we dive into human design, I actually have a question.
Sure.
What made you become drawn to using stones and crystals for divination versus, say, cards or runes, or is there some sort of like backstory there on how you got into that?
Yeah, actually, when I first started my journey, I felt like I was a lone wolf on this journey. So I didn't have any friends or family or anybody in the community that I knew who did this kind of intuitive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So just from movies or, just things that we hear in passing, I knew that tarot existed. So tarot was the first thing that I ever jumped into.
Okay.
And it was too much for me to learn tarot logically. I just felt like it wasn't for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept on feeling the pull at that exact point when I was trying to do tarot divination. I was thinking, do gemstone divination, do gemstone divination. And I looked up so many different versions of what divination with stones could be. And I almost gave up, actually. It was about a 3 or 4 month research period of me looking for gemstone divination.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did give up. But one day I went to the store and there was a book right on the shelf that guided me towards how I was to put together my gemstone kit and how I was going to bring it out to the world. I literally gave up. And then the world's like, nope, you're doing it.
It's interesting how that happens, because I've experienced that as well. Not not the same circumstance, but when I got to the point where I gave up trying to control the outcome, I was able to be led.
Yeah, it was.
And I feel like that's kind of what happened, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was actually 2 times at that point in my intuitive journey that I had given up and said, F this. And I put everything away, not for me. And, the world, intuition, the other side, they had a different plan for me. They're like, nope, here you go. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it worked out that way, because and if you haven't checked out Katielyn on Twitch, make sure that you do. She's great. She's very intuitive. A couple of the readings I've had from her, she told me stuff that most people would be like, that sounds batshit crazy, and it would, except for the fact that I've had several other readings before that where they said the same sort of things, even exactly the same thing, and it was batshit crazy then too. But by the time Katielyn gave me the reading, I was just like, okay, you're just reaffirming all of the other people who thought they were batshit crazy. So yeah.
I remember that reading and I'm like, what am I even saying?
Yeah, it's weird, but it was cool, and it was neat because it really, the fact that you're able to confirm that, for me too, really made me go, okay, the fact that you got something so weird and you weren't you weren't even a little bit thrown off by telling it to me and stuff. I was like, yeah, I need to make sure that I connect to you, you know,
Yay.
further than this and we have a conversation because it just felt like that sign for me of like, okay, this is someone I need to talk to, right?
And it's funny
Um
because that's when I felt the connection too. So
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's cool the way the universe works like that.
yeah.
Grand design for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, so now I would like to find out what human design is. Um, my understanding before I met you of human design, just in a very general, broad term, and not what you do, just the words human design
Hmm.
to me is I would think of like, okay, is that like a natal chart thing or something like that? And I it's so much more than that. That it's just amazing. It's very interesting. I think there's pieces in there that are interesting from the side of me that is spiritual, but also the side of me that is more logic and science based
Hmm.
because I'm very equal between them
Hmm.
both.
Hmm.
So yeah, just tell us a little bit about what it is, how you got into that, and we'll
Right.
go from there.
Right. Actually, what really pulls me to this system as well is not only how spiritual it could be, which it doesn't have to be at all,
Hmm.
but also how logical it is. That's what really, really drew me to this. It was kind of like a user manual of life. So I actually have, I know this sounds so boring, but I actually have the definition as per the website from the school. And it's just because I don't believe I could say it any better.
Okay.
So I actually have a train going by it for a few seconds there. Um, so with human design, it actually helps you discover what makes you different from
Mhm.
everybody else. This is a system where you see how unique you really are because there's no one else on this earth like you.
Mm.
It offers profound insights to your psychology, along with strategies and techniques for making correct decisions and ultimately leading a life of more ease and fulfillment. So, the system here helps you understand how your body makes correct decisions, not how you make them, not how I make decisions, not how your authoritative figures expect you to live, but truly your energy and getting back to that. So it goes on to say that it's not built on belief or faith, but
Mhm.
it is a logical, empirical system that offers you the opportunity to experiment with its mechanics and find out if it works for you. And that's why that sentence there is exactly why I love it. It's not built on belief or faith because when I
Mhm.
got into this industry of working with spirit, I didn't want to work with spirit, even though I do now. I was like,
Right.
screw that. I don't want to work with that. And I was more inside my head. Um, so to have this, what they say is a logical empirical system that offers us the opportunity to experiment, we can bring it over to the scientific side and, say a science experiment.
Mhm.
We draw a hypothesis, we experiment with it, and we draw a conclusion to see if it works or not. And this is really what we're doing here. We're learning our yes and no for
Mhm.
our body. We're experimenting with it and see if it actually brings more ease and fulfillment to life. So, once you start experimenting with the knowledge, you may experience changes in your perspective. Over time, this helps you learn what brings fulfillment.
Mhm.
So a lot of us in our life, we are conditioned to believe that harder, better, faster, stronger will fulfill us. Like more money, more things, etc. But this is deconditioning all of that. If harder, better, faster, stronger is what your energy is all about, cool. But
Yeah.
not everyone is meant for that.
Mhm.
So everyone has a signature, energies type, and this could lead to peace, satisfaction, success, or surprise. And that's when you start living according to your yes and no. So these feelings, depending on what type you are, you could bring peace, satisfaction, success, or surprise. Once you start saying your yes and no.
Mhm.
And then it also lessens the resistance in the form of anger, frustration, bitterness, or disappointment as the end result. So, what was all that jargon about? The teacher who brought this out to the world said that after he was teaching it for like 10 years, he could really see the difference on people's faces. He could see that people were more relaxed, more calm, more joyful, not so stressed out or anxious. And there's actually a lot more benefits that I've personally experienced from this. So
Mhm.
I know that was a long answer, but
No,
human
it's a good one.
design is a system of knowing yourself
Mhm.
so you can come back to who you are.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome, and that's one of the things about some of the other stuff that I'm into um, that drew me to it in the first place. Like
Nice.
I originally went to school and studied psychology, and I really loved like Carl Jung and human
Yes.
existentialism, which is the potential of humans. What is our potential? What are we capable of actually doing if we can use, more of our intuition, more of our brain, whatever, brain power, whatever the case may be. Um, which then led me into looking at natal charts and those kind of things because
Nice.
it's like, all right, well, that's a piece of it too. And I've always believed that whether you're don't believe in spirituality stuff at all, or whether you don't believe in the science and you're 100% spiritual,
Mhm.
um, I really have always looked at them as two sides of the same coin,
Right.
and they do affect one another. And I do feel that at some point, I feel like science will be able to prove a lot of the things that right now are just dismissed because
Yeah.
of spirituality. So yeah, it's really fascinating.
It's now that you talk about science and bringing in facts, when this system first came out, one of the biggest pieces of information was not considered to be found true by science, and this was in the 80s.
Mhm.
And then in the 90s, they found it to be true by science.
Hmm. What
So
what was that?
that neutrinos exist and that there's a mass to them.
Huh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So that was in the 90s, and this information came out before that was scientifically proven. So it just shows that over time, things can be proven.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really, really interesting. So as far as human design is concerned, is there any kind of like, I don't know, how does it relate to, because there's different types, right?
Yeah.
Or, different like archetypes. Like, people take those tests, where it's like I'm an ENTP or
Yes.
I'm an INF, whatever. I'm
Yeah.
I'm an ENTP. That's the first one that popped into my head, and literally my brain
ENFJ.
just blanked on the rest. I'm like, um, but people are into that now. It's like, man, I really want to
Hmm.
know more about myself. I'll take this
Hmm.
psychology test, or I'll take this
Hmm.
star seed origin test, or I'll, whatever.
Hmm. Of
And
course.
this has a component of that as well, right?
Yeah. What's interesting, and this just may be an uneducated ramble at this moment, but I
Mhm.
did take the Myers Briggs.
Okay.
I'm an ENFJ. But the thing is that this test is based on what we think we are at this moment. But
Mhm.
is that really who we are? Anyways, when we come down to human design takes away everything we think we are right now. Because I
Mhm.
could think I'm an astronaut, but that's not true,
Right.
right? Um, so with these tests like Myers-Briggs, that's asking us our opinion of what our brain thinks that we are currently right now.
Mhm.
But with the human design system, it grabs this timing, and it does tell you exactly who you are. But the thing is that Myers Briggs, it would only take into consideration your conscious aspect of who you are, who you think you are.
Right.
Whereas this system, like, it really goes down and talks about both who you think you are and your subconscious. So
Mhm.
and in our lingo, it would say the personality and design if you want to go into the jargon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it goes both into, the conscious and the subconscious. So it's gathering 100% of who we are and putting it out to us instead of having a test where we answer the questions and put in what we think we are in this particular moment. Maybe we had a bad day and
Right.
we don't want to talk to people today. So we say we're introverted when we're actually extrovert type of
Okay.
deal. Yeah.
That's a
So,
that's a really good, yeah, that's a really good difference between, and you can see where, I'm sure I'm sure most systems that are, that people are using, like there's always going to be flaws, right? But it
Mm.
sounds like, anyways, that this system is based so much in concrete things that, the type of mood you have on a particular day, it doesn't matter because it's not
No.
coming into play there, right?
No, exactly,
Yeah.
because, when we are talking about human design, we need your exact time of birth because technically you're wearing the planet imprint of when you're born.
Hmm.
And I mean, technically everybody who was born and walking around that day were wearing your imprint and saying, "Hey, happy birthday, you're awesome." But anyways, you're the one who received this imprint. Um, I don't know where I was going there, but yeah, this neutrino field does impact you. Um,
Hmm.
both on this conscious and subconscious, so in our personality, in our design. And I mean, how is our brain supposed to really have access to our body? Like, it's not like we make our heart beat or anything like that.
Yeah,
So,
it just happens in the background and you don't
yeah,
even think about it, right? But
exactly.
yeah, it's on a level that you can't tap into, really, I don't think. But,
E-
you
Ex-
know, there is
yeah.
that conscious, subconscious, and then I also, you hear people talk about the subconscious and conscious mind, but I also believe there's an unconscious as well. Um, you
Exactly.
know,
So this is really taking into consideration the full being of who we are.
mhm, cool.
This system, where our body's headed, where our brain's headed, and they're
Mhm,
both going in different directions, and that's why we kind of feel a little bit lost most of the time.
right on.
Our body and our brain are in a forced marriage, and I don't know they are both there. It's just they don't work together.
Yeah, right on. So let's take a look at this. I'm gonna switch our view here so
Sure.
that you can actually see what this looks like. And if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes and Apple Music, or if you're on audio only, I do recommend that you come check out the YouTube and actually see what is on the screen. Obviously, Katielyn will do her best to try to explain things in a way that if you're on audio, it will make sense, but obviously the visual is a huge part of it. So I do recommend that if you want to check out and have if you want the full human design IDK podcast Katielyn experience, that you come check out the visual on YouTube. But yeah, so let's dive into this a little bit. I know you
Okay.
mentioned something about strategy and authority and generators and manifestors before
Yeah.
we started recording. So I'll just kind of let you do your thing.
Yeah. So there is only two things to know about human design: your strategy and your authority. Everything else that you see on this page is brain candy, and we could talk about you or another person or whomever for days and days upon how much information we could talk about. But, you know, that doesn't even matter. What matters is your strategy and authority. What is your strategy and authority? We can see it up here over in my system strategy. We can show that here for a generator, it's to respond, and for their authority, it's their sacral. And for everyone, that's actually different. And this is where our choice mechanism actually comes from: a strategy and authority. So, a strategy and authority, it doesn't even matter if I explain what any of those are at this particular moment, because what matters most is that once you understand your strategy and authority or your choice mechanism,
Hmm.
once you start, let's just say your body says, uh-huh. Once you've understood how to say your choice mechanism, let's just say your body says, uh-huh, and you decide to follow that, uh-huh. Well, here's the really cool part. On the screen, for those of you who aren't here visually, it says that there's an incarnation cross, the right angle cross of laws 50/3, 56/60. What's awesome about this is that if you decide to honor your body for the decisions that it makes, so I followed that, the incarnation cross, that's our purpose in life. That is our purpose in life. So if I follow my body's choice mechanism of and do it, my body is allowing my purpose to flow through me.
Mhm.
So let's just say my body said, but I'm too scared and I don't do it. That is literally going against my body's choice mechanism, therefore going into what we call the not self.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of us find ourselves most of the day, including myself, the not self. Life is scary. We've had traumatic events happen.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that pull us away from our choice mechanism or our strategy and authority. For instance, we're born into a culture, a religion, a sex, a family. And
Mhm.
all of that expects us to be something specific. And then as we grow older, our authoritative figures or our bosses expect us to be a certain way, and we change ourselves. Or our friends socially, they're like, ha ha ha, that's silly. And we get humiliated, so we change ourselves.
Yeah.
Or there's another situation where, oh, hey, that guy over there is doing it better than me. So, I'm going to change myself to be like that guy, but I
Right.
fail anyway, So there's all of these reasons why we become our not self. And it's so easily to relate with it. There's trauma and having coping mechanisms to get us through the day. There's endless reasons how
Mhm.
we get into the not self. So, human design, in my opinion, is around to bring us back to ourself, our center, and remind us of what we're not.
Yeah.
So, with this strategy and authority, your choice mechanism, your body knows where it wants to go, and it's going to lead you. And this is the choice mechanism that is to be followed, whatever your strategy and authority is. And it'll allow your purpose to flow through you. So let's just say your body said, um, if we follow that, we are going to allow our purpose to flow through us, even though
Mhm.
the answer was a no, don't do it. Right. So I'm using those sounds on purpose because that is truly my choice mechanism. So
Mhm.
everyone's different. I use the and and I don't know about some of you. I don't know how many generators I'm speaking to right now, but a lot of us we get our slaps hands because saying and isn't socially correct. So as a generator myself and my choice mechanism, my parents deconditioned me away from my choice mechanism because they say yes and no. It's more
Right.
socially correct. So there's this many ways we can be deconditioned or moving away from our true self and more into the not self. Yeah. So
I hope your response to them was,
um I honestly forget what we were talking about because of what we were
No,
responding
it's
to.
it's totally fine. We were just talking about strategy and authority and
Yeah.
what do they mean.
Yeah.
And I think you started to dive into that a little bit. Something that's interesting that you said, okay,
Mhm.
and because I know what's coming, but the
Mhm.
audience doesn't.
Mhm.
You said something very interesting that brought a Kanye West lyric to my mind, and maybe that
Yes.
was intentional. I don't know, but in one of his songs, he says, "Everything I'm not made me everything I am,"
Oh, that's
which is a
beautiful.
very poetic line. And also, because of the way my brain works, earlier you said harder, faster, stronger, better, which is
Yeah.
actually one of his songs. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but
No, it wasn't intentional.
there's a lot of Kanye energy going on,
Yeah.
just so people know, we're working our way up to that, but we are going to do an example reading on a particular celebrity. Will it be Kanye? I don't know. Is it
I don't
related?
know.
Possibly,
I don't
but
know.
someone that everybody should be able to kind of be like, oh, okay, because they're in the public light enough that you'll
Mhm.
have a pretty good idea of what this is. So that's coming up here
Right.
shortly.
Right.
My question, because you mentioned sacral,
Mhm.
is does this? I mean, it obviously ties into the chakras to some degree, right?
Mm. Um,
Um,
Go ahead with your question, sorry.
yeah. Well, so how does human design and chakras connect,
Well,
or
if
do they
we
not?
um there this system is actually a synthesis of many products.
Hmm.
So The answer is chakras seem apparent in this particular experience, but when we're talking about human design, we actually call them centers
Okay.
because we're moving from a seven-centered being into a nine-centered being.
Hmm.
And yeah, that is okay. Let me tell you a little bit more about what is more involved into this.
Okay.
Okay, I want to start with an example first.
Yep.
Yellow plus blue
Mhm.
equals green.
Yep.
Um, in order, you can't take away blue and yellow again from the green. It's a synthesized product.
Hmm.
We can't say that the green is blue and yellow because it's green. It's a whole different thing. We know in the background that yeah, blue and yellow makes green, but no, it is green. And that's actually what happens with human design. So human design, it does have the chakras as one of the synthesis,
Hmm.
but it's also a combination of astrology, I Ching,
Mm.
the Kabbalah, the chakras, and then we're moving over to the more scientific side, and it's a synthesis of quantum mechanics, astronomy, genetics, and biochemistry.
Okay.
So that's
That's awesome.
it is awesome. It is a synthesis of all. So if a person says, "Hey, those are chakras," I'm like, "No, they're centers." Because
Well,
it's its own thing at this point. It's no longer the chakras; it's centers.
and a lot of people do refer to chakras as like energy centers, right?
Exactly.
The
Yep.
energy centers of your body. So it does
Mhm.
make some sense, and I love that. I love that it combines all those different systems together because I've always been the type of person that believes that most systems that exist are different interpretations of the same information that have been
Exactly.
channeled, right?
I agree.
Whether that's from a science perspective, whether that's from a spiritual perspective. When I studied a lot of theology, I came to the conclusion that almost every single, religious text and rule set out there follows the same, almost like the Ten Commandments. They have almost very similar golden rules between them
Mhm.
all. And so many people fight over the differences that they don't notice how much of it is
Similar.
really rooted the same.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I like that this marries all those different disciplines and different systems together
Yeah.
because there are people who are like, my system's right and everything else is wrong. And it's like, no, they're all meant to work together.
Exactly. And
So,
when an astrologer comes up to me and says, "Oh, well, how do they compare?" Well, I actually don't know because I've never studied astrology, never studied
right.
I Ching. I don't know the answer. How do they compare?
Hmm.
So, my particular teacher was an astrologer. She is 20 years studied as human design. And recently she started studying astrology again. So, she just wants to understand the stars better because of human design. So
Right.
it's quite interesting that her astrology is um, making her human design better.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so did you want to kind of go through our example
Yeah, for
case?
sure. I might go a little bit crazy. Um,
We like crazy. That's
yeah.
fine. We love crazy.
Yeah. So we are going to be talking about Kim Kardashian today. Kim Kardashian, one of the reasons why we chose this person is because, they are in the public eye. As a professional, I'm not here to demean or deteriorate a being because that's not what this is about. We are here to tell you about this being and who they are and some of the conundrums that they might be experiencing in life. Because you know what? Whether it's Kim Kardashian or you,
Mhm.
we're all uniquely differentiated. And it just happens to be that this person is seen in the public eye.
Right.
So, the most important thing when a person comes to sit down with me is to let them know of their type, their strategy, and authority. And for here, Kim Kardashian is a generator. I actually need to step back about 3 steps here
Hmm.
and tell people my qualifications.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
I am a teacher of human design. I teach courses. I'm currently in the last few months of me finishing my professional analyst course. So at this exact moment, on uh, June 2nd of 2021, I am not an analyst, but in a few months I will be. The only reason I say this is because I need you to know, listeners, that this is not how you would get a professional reading if you sat down with a professional. What we're doing here is really getting into the nitty-gritty detail of what human design is. Who's got time to mess around with all the fluffy fun stuff? Let's get into the nitty-gritty details. So I just wanted to tell you all this because this is not the type of experience that you would have if you were to pay for the professional reading. You would have to sit down and ask for additional time with your reader in order to get this type of information in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use my mouse a lot. So even though you may not know the jargon, as an analyst, almost, I'm supposed to be using jargon just so that it hits you at the DNA level. I'm going to try to make it back into English terms after I say the jargon so that we can all understand what's going on. We're not here to teach. We're here to give an example. So, all right. Kim Kardashian is a generator. What's interesting about generators is that generators just run around and they generate their life force power that they have inside of them. So Kim Kardashian, you could see her running around, buzzing around, and then eventually at some point her body is going to respond, I'm all out of energy and I'm just going to stop now. Now, as a person in the limelight and a person who gets seen a lot, I wonder if she overworks herself. Even though, you know, this is a defined area, I wonder if her willpower and her brain makes her think that she needs to work because she has the energy, you know? So this is the first not self place that we might be able to see Kim, is her working too much because her brain feels like she has to. So that as a generator, it's very cool. I'm a generator, so I resonate deeply with this this stuff that I'm saying. As a generator, I run around like a chicken with its head cut off all day. And then at one moment, excuse me, at one moment, my energy is completely gone and I'm yawning and I'm like, all right, it's time for me to go to bed. And as soon as I hit the bed, I'm out in like 30 seconds.
Right. I'm that way too.
That's awesome. So what's interesting about human design is that, here's a little sneak peek, but we can actually talk about the sleeping version of you as well. So when you lay down to cry, to meditate, to sleep, or to have sex, you know, your energy changes. So Kim is no longer a generator when she lays down, which is quite unique and interesting to know that something like this exists. So her energy type changes when she lays down.
What does it change to?
She's considered a reflector when she lays down. So she's a generator when she is up, and she's a reflector when she's down, meaning that she's more of a sampling aura when she's sleeping. And we can actually tell her weak point from this aspect as well. So there's a weak point in everybody's chart where they're like, oh, I'm not that, so I need to be it. We can also tell the weak point in our chart from this this little makeup here. So I know I went a little bit side step there, but I thought it was very cool and cool information to interject with. For those of you listening, I just switched my screen and it just looks like a completely different chart based on what was originally seen. So we're going to jump back here, not get too many, this is just the brain candy that we just talked about, was, you know, what happens when you sleep. That's just the extra brain candy. Okay. Let's refocus ourselves. So Kim Kardashian is a generator, which means that she is here to respond because she has that sacral energy. So Kim Kardashian, she has these caveman sounds of uh-huh and uh-uh, just like a baby who's excited about something, ooh, or they don't want it, so they go eh, right? So
Hmm.
that's the type of guttural sounds that Kim Kardashian was gifted with. And that's truly what she should hold on to, is those sounds. I'm assuming through the public eye that she might have been deconditioned away from those uh-huh and uh-uh as well,
Sure.
because, she needs to say yes and no and, just to seem proper according to society. So I'm wondering if Kim Kardashian has been deconditioned away from her own choice mechanism. Um, so what's most important that we talk about in a chart is the stuff that's colored, which is definition. And then the thing that we talk about thereafter is the stuff that's not colored,
Hmm.
which is undefined parts in our chart. What's interesting is that I like to start with the uncolored stuff because this is where we find the most not self aspects of ourselves, depending on what your chart is. So human design allows us to understand our yes and no mechanism. And I know it was quick, but uh-huh and uh-uh, that's all Kim's got to know.
Hmm.
Everything after that is just brain candy. So we're truly just going into brain candy at this point. We already know what's most important about human design. Uh-huh and uh-uh for Kim Kardashian. That's all that matters for her. Um, like I said, this is a breaking point, and we're going to be talking about the brain candy stuff. So Kim Kardashian might find herself avoiding confrontation and truth, or it's the complete opposite of that too. She might be telling too many truths.
Hmm.
So, for example, from me, this is where I find myself not going to female based parties such as weddings and baby showers because people ask me questions that I don't want to answer.
Hmm.
When are you going to have a baby? When are you going to get married? It's like, it doesn't matter. And
Right.
I literally avoid those female based parties because that seems to be the conversation of the hour. And I hate it. I avoid it. I, so that's what we're talking about here is like, this is where you might find a person saying those white lies like, oh, your haircut really looks good.
Hmm.
And it actually doesn't. This is kind of where you might see yourself being a yes man too, to avoid the confrontation of saying no. So if she is acting her not self, and remember, most of us are,
Right.
like 99.999% of us are in the not self, she will be finding herself avoiding confrontation or truth, or just giving a whole bunch of truth when it's not needed.
Well, and if you look at the industry that she grew up in, and in the business that she's in, right? Their whole brand is their looks and their
Right,
and their bodies,
right.
typically. And their mom is their manager, right? For all the Kardashians, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. And so I'm sure, for quite some time, it's been, well, even if I think that this is something that would be a good idea or what I really want to do, I should just listen to mom because she's been successful and she knows what's best.
It's it
And
That's
hasn't
true.
spoken up. And the times
That's
that she has been very flamboyant. I mean, if you think about where she has come out, it's not been often, but where she has come out and spoke up against some things going on, like in Kanye's life and things before they
Mhm.
they started going through the divorce process. When she did finally come out and say something, it was tactful, but if you could look through the underlying fluff, it was pretty sharp. Do you know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So I find that interesting. I also find it interesting that her inner authority is the
Mhm.
sacral.
Yeah.
Sacral is related to the body and to
Yeah.
sex. And obviously most of us know how she ended up becoming famous in the first place. And that the fact that even regardless of the sex thing, the fact that her outward appearance becomes the thing that she has built her entire brand and her family has built their brand on is interesting that it matches up that way.
Yes. Actually, this here,
Mhm.
this center here that I'm pointing at, which is called the G Center for you guys who aren't seeing this, it's open, it's uncolored, it's undefined. And this is actually, in my opinion, a gift to those who have it this way.
Mhm.
Because a person who has this open, they walk into a room, and if Kim Kardashian says, she needs to get the F out because she's having the wrong opportunities with the wrong people, and in the wrong place. So even if she goes to the next place next door, she might be like, yeah, this is it.
Right.
So this is like a compass, this particular place here. And, she does have some fixedness here. We see some color going up the side here. But, she is here to experience a lot of different things.
Mhm.
She's here to start things and not necessarily finish them because
Mhm.
that's who she is. She's supposed to identify with many things, many places, and many love in life. So I love this space. And what's awful is that sometimes, sorry, a lot of times, people make people feel bad for not finishing things.
Right.
Ugh, there's Kim starting something else again.
Right,
What's she
right.
not going to finish it again? And, it's okay for her not to finish things and just to see if she identifies with it, see if she loves it a little, and if she does, even if she lets it go, who cares? who,
Yeah.
who cares? Only she should, right?
I'm that way with a lot of things actually too,
Right.
where I get squirrel syndrome and shiny object syndrome where I want to chase this cool thing that I found out about and then I don't necessarily dive deep into it and to completion. It's the shiny thing of the moment sort of thing.
And
But what's interesting about her, I've always thought this pretty fascinating, is that, when she came out, Kim Kardashian came out and said, I'm going to law school. Everyone said she won't be able to do that. And she did.
oh, really? I didn't know where her education lied or laid.
It
Lied.
just in the last couple of years, she went to law school
Good for her.
and actually started to work with people
Oh my
who
God.
were like wrongly convicted, or maybe not wrongly convicted, but had a light. Like, so for example, one of the people that she helped get released was a mother who got put away for a really, really long time for a drug charge that was a first offense and
Wow.
was like, this person should not be in jail. It was their first offense, whatever. So she's been fighting to get, mostly women out
Wow.
of prison who have been put in prison for things with sentences that are much more strict than what they probably should have been.
Hmm.
And so I know the one person was in prison for like 20 some years for just a small, kind of drug charge. And so the fact that she took that perception of herself and what she's about and completely turned it around on its head and said, no, this is not all I am.
I think that's beautiful because I'm like screaming internally and circling that circle, putting a circle around it.
Hmm.
Her purpose is the right angle cross of laws.
Hmm.
And she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
That
No, that's
blows my mind.
interesting.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. If you look it up, it's pretty cool. She's done a lot of work with both of the administrations in the United States, Biden and Trump to help do that. And that's kind of what she's decided to focus on
It's beautiful.
is incarceration.
I think this is beautiful that you brought that up because like she is obviously getting to a point in her life where she is shining as her.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it that that's what she decided to do.
Hmm.
I love it. Um, we're gonna move up to the next. I know I purposely skipped that one. We'll come back to it. This here is actually, if you're a generator like me,
Hmm.
generators are conditioned to be manifestors. And manifestors, they have this, anyways, they have the energy here. Manifestors are conditioned to be generators, and generators are conditioned to be manifestors. So we hear it in logos. Just do it,
Hmm.
And in the spirituality, it's like, oh, just manifest the life of your dreams. And, it's just like, I've heard so many times, just go out there and do it. And then a lot of us just fail.
Right.
Why? Because we did it when we didn't listen to our body mechanisms, and it was just the improper timing, and it just all fell into shambles and we didn't
Mhm.
do it, you know? So a lot of us are conditioned, 70% of the world is conditioned to be a manifester. And we just don't have that energy just to go out there and do it. And that was actually the biggest disappointment of hearing about my design. Unfortunately, I didn't have a teacher or a leader to even say, "What? I'm not allowed to manifest?" That's not it. That's not it at all. I was so disappointed.
Mhm.
I'm allowed to manifest? Stop it. Well, the thing is that what I have to do is see if I respond to the thing that I want to manifest.
Right.
And then, I respond to a lot of things. Ooh, piece of candy. I write it down on a list and I save it for a later date. Just because my brain and my body responded, it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean it's right now that it needs to happen.
Right.
I need to then respond to when it actually starts. So, yeah, I can eventually get to manifesting something, but it takes this whole process of, yeah, it can't be instantaneous. And, I have to wait through my choice mechanism to see, yeah, I want to do it. And you know what? There was something on my to-do list for 4 years, 5 years, and that officially got put into my garbage pile because I officially don't respond to it anymore. My brain must have thought that that's what I wanted to do, and it was a brain idea. It wasn't what my body wanted to do.
Mhm.
um so yeah, my whole life I was conditioned to be a manifester. Just go out there and do it, build the life of your dreams, just do it. And I'm a generator.
Mhm.
So I spent all of my life trying to be something that I'm not. And so that's a different place that maybe Kim Kardashian could have felt like she was conditioned. Is, she is here to generate and she's here to work, work, work. But, to manifest those things, she had to wait for them. And I'm
Right.
sure that there was times in her life where people expected things or manifestations on the spot from her and she just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And this is actually where it becomes a little bit detrimental for her, is her profile. You know, she is here to be a person of trial and error, a person who bumps into things to restructure it to bring it to a better good. That's what she's here to do. And she's here to be the heretic of that, whatever she bumps into,
Mhm.
trials and errors. But the thing is that unfortunately for fives, I'm pointing at it right here, the five. Unfortunately for fives, in her profile, for those of you listening, um, my fiance has a five, and I like to explain it through his perception. This is where a lot of the sadness in a five a life of a five comes from. Because let's just say a five was born, it's a baby. You expect to take care of it like 100% until at least like 5 years old, really. I don't
Mhm.
know. So, a baby comes in and it's a five, and then it decides to puke, and then it decides to pee and poop because that's what babies do.
Yeah.
And then the mom or the father, the authoritative figure, is like, well, what the fuck's with ya? You're not the perfect baby that I expected. You're not the Buddha. You're not the leader. Screw ya. And you're like, I'm just a baby. I just did a bodily function. So that's literally the ridiculousness that a five experience in their life. So Kim Kardashian is here to bump into things and think about what the general society thinks about that. They don't like it. They
Right.
need Kim Kardashian to be perfect. And if she screws up, people are going to know and people are going
Mhm.
to tell her. Sorry, I'm smashing my hand.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, people are going to tell her. And it can be very detrimental to, I
Mm.
don't know, happiness.
Yeah, mental health especially.
Exactly.
Mm.
To be to have the experience of the external of what it is to be a five.
Yeah.
You know, if, even if you do your best, someone's probably still going to tear it down.
Mm.
So, poor Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
She is here to bump into things on purpose because that's who she is. That's what
Mhm.
she's meant to do. And then people are going to literally say, that's bad because you bumped into it. No, that's
Yeah.
how she's supposed to be.
It's interesting because Kanye, I feel, really bumps into things intentionally, Whether it's because he's meant to or whether it's by choice, I'm not sure. But he does love to push the boundaries and loves to push the envelope and loves to just be
Yes.
different. So it's interesting that, that they ended up together. It makes me wonder if that's something she was drawn to in him, was he is that side of me that I'm meant to be, but I can't. And I'm drawn to it.
It's said that in the human design system, and just like the mini me off of frigging Austin Powers, you complete me, you fill my slots. And by that, I mean the lines in the chart. So whatever's white, I know.
I'm sorry. That was way funnier because I've had whiskey. The whole time I'm like, don't make jokes, don't make jokes, don't make jokes.
Here I go. So, yeah, we are attracted to what we're not, because, everything in this chart is who we are. Oh, that's so boring. Why would I want to be that? Let me be something that I'm not. I'm attracted to that, and that's the mind getting involved.
So, but do you think we're attracted to the things that we're not? They say opposite attracts, right? Are we attracted to the things that we're not because we're just trying to become whole?
Yeah. That is literally the answer. If we get into some jargon, one of the personality crystal sits here. The design crystal sits here. For those of you listening in, personality crystal sits in the ajna, and the design crystal sits in the G center. And that illusion of separateness makes us feel like we're always chasing after something, because our brain thinks that we're not whole, because our body's just like hanging out down there. So yeah, the not self is chasing a feeling of wholeness.
So anybody who's listening, if you are having troubles locating, oh my God, my brain just, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for this. I'm going to call it the G spot. What did you call it?
It's the G center. And
G center. Yeah.
I mean, how can it not be called the G spot? Because it is the pleasure center.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're having problems locating your G spot, or someone who is, you can get a diagram specifically designed that could show you that G spot within your chart.
Yes, Jovian Archive or International Human Design School is where you get that, for those of you listening.
But yeah, I mean, it's just all very interesting to me, and how much physicality and body and sex related things are just stuck into the different parts of this. Even the parts that are colored on the chart, for those of you who can't see, it's all towards the lower end of the body. And so I'm not 100% sure what that means at this point, and I'm sure you can explain it.
I can go over it in just a moment. Yeah.
But it's just interesting to someone who doesn't know much about it. The fact that the stuff that's lit up is sort of down south, and you have the sacral, which is related to sex, and there's body things, and it's just very interesting. It's like, okay, did the thing that made that career and catapulted her into the limelight, was it a choice that she made, or was it fated from the beginning because it's just part of her makeup? It's
well,
interesting.
it is said that if you follow your strategy and authority, you're going to hit this place of happiness and true self. We know, I'm pretty sure she was born into fame. I don't know if that's true.
I believe so.
Yeah, but I don't know. I have these thoughts, like, people who are born into fame and has much opportunity and as money as they want, like, are they going to be different not selves than those who have the not self experiences from, trying to survive every day?
Yeah,
So.
and I will say too, just to be clear, that having a business built around your body and how you look, and even how she came into the limelight, nothing wrong with it.
No,
It's
not
just
at
very
all.
interesting to see it laid out in a blueprint, in a way, but at least the way my mind works, is that it's laid out in a blueprint in a way that says that those are like very active, very prominent parts of her makeup and her personality, and that's what she ended up doing. That was the thing about, when I first discovered natal charts and looked at, okay, based on a natal chart, what are some potential career things that I would be good at, kind of thing, right? And the things that it told me, I have either studied as a hobby, worked in, like actually have experience and worked in, or have always been drawn to or interested to every single thing. And it made me actually think like things like this. Okay. If you have a child, you have a baby, you look at, you look at a human design for that baby, you look at a natal chart, whatever
Yeah.
those are, you know, do you get a little snapshot into maybe the things that that
Oh,
baby might
yes.
be interested in? And
Oh my God, yes.
but here's the question, is it, is it moral, I suppose, to try to steer them in that direction because you know that they're already made up to be drawn to those things, or do you let people go? And I ask this because so many people I talk to flounder through life trying to figure out that thing. Who
Mm.
am I? What
Mhm,
am I drawn to? What am I should I do with my life? And I feel
mhm,
like if people had this information early
mhm.
on and could help use it in helping their child make decisions,
Yeah,
that they would be
100%.
put on their path much sooner and
Mhm,
have less struggles and less traumas and less
mhm.
feeling lost in the world because
Yeah.
they have that blueprint, right?
Yeah, and there's actually a full section of just talking about, family together, and then a whole different section of study where we talk about just raising your child in a human design way. Um, that actually can be answered by
Mhm.
going to the next undefined center, which is
Okay.
here. This is the ego center, the willpower center, the heart center. This is what we
Mhm.
call it. Yeah, ego, willpower, heart. So Kim Kardashian doesn't have consistent access to willpower, her heart center, or ego. The thing is that, sorry, we got some loud stuff on my end again. The thing is with this particular energy is that people who have this undefined or open,
Mhm.
they feel like they have something to prove in life, and they have absolutely nothing to prove, including themselves.
Right.
So imagine trying to raise a child in that particular position. A child feels like they're not enough. They don't feel loved. They don't feel, you see your child going above and beyond when they're not even asked to do that, to try to prove or to be loved or, something like that. I could see that very beneficial for a parent. Because if you know that your child is going to feel not enough when they're in their not self, then you can reinforce that, yeah, you are enough. And if
Mm.
you ever feel like you're not enough, just know that you have nothing to prove. Um,
Yeah.
and it's very beautiful because my bestie just had a baby 2 weeks ago, and she has this fully wide open, this ego
Mm.
center.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh boy, is her daughter ever going to have some interesting lessons in life? And her too, because she's the mom,
Right.
trying to educate her daughter that it doesn't matter who, where, what, and when she came from, she is enough.
Yeah.
She's got nothing to prove. Baby girl, don't go above and beyond when people don't ask you to, right?
Mhm.
So like it's going to be beautiful to watch that evolve. And I have yet to tell my bestie about her daughter, which is
Mm.
fine. I don't want to pummel people with
Yeah,
information they're
sure.
not ready to hear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, her daughter has this wide open, completely wide open. And by this, I mean the spleen. It's like it's got no color on it at all.
Mhm.
Um, and actually, two of my besties had children with them wide open in the last year. And I'm like, oh, boys. Oh, boys. So this is like where you might see your baby being either super afraid of life
Mhm.
or like, I'm just going to go stick a fork in a light socket type of experience.
Mm.
This is where a kid learns to either be afraid or not.
Mm.
And that conditions us for the rest of our life. Fear, the fear of tomorrow, the fear of authority, the fear of yesterday. Um, yeah, there's many fears that sit in this particular center. So
Mm.
this is where my friend had a colic baby, but this is where the colic baby would take that extra colic a step up. And when her mom was away from her, because she felt nice and cozy in mom's aura, mom
Mhm.
would step away from her and the baby would just scream even more because
Yeah.
that open center literally is, when that screech comes out, it literally could break hearts.
Mm.
So it literally forces people back to the baby.
I
So,
have a real problem with that. Anytime, anytime I'm over at a friend's house that's just had a baby or anything, and anytime they start crying, my immediate reaction is like, oh God, I got to pick them up. I got to, do something, which is a very like human reaction, right? But sometimes I know that it's like, yeah, you don't want to do that all the time because, it then kind of like reinforces that every time this happens, this will happen. But yeah,
Yeah, so
I
it's
get
just
it.
like understanding that particular center that
Mhm.
my two besties have children that could either be 100% scared of life, or they could be the child walking on the railings on the story 2 levels up.
Mm,
So I asked my friends to please talk to me about their children before they start walking
right.
for
Yeah.
that particular reason.
Yeah, for sure. I was the
Yeah,
type of kid that was very daring and like would climb trees and do that very thing until I fell out of a tree from
me
about 30
too.
feet. And
Me
then
too.
after that, I was like, risk taking, not good. Um,
Yeah, that was me too. Literally,
yeah,
that's when fear got instilled into my life in grade
yeah,
3.
yep,
Literally.
yeah.
My
You
life
get
changed
knocked on
then.
your ass pretty hard once or twice, to the point where it literally scares the shit out of you. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna think twice about that.
yeah.
Um, so, you know, one thing that I think that's interesting about this, and I do recommend if you're listening and you'd like to get some more information about human design for yourself and figure out what your actual blueprint is, that Katielyn can absolutely help you through that. Is the better understanding that you have of yourself and how you were designed, right? Because we really were designed. Our blueprint exists
Mhm,
in the stars and the things that make us up and in our DNA. And this is a way of kind of, you know, getting into the layers that maybe you haven't identified yet, so that you can be more joyful, have more love for yourself and accepting who you are, and
mhm.
just being authentically, happy with yourself. I definitely recommend, that you reach out to K80lyn and get something scheduled. How have you applied this? How has this helped you to become authentically happy and learning to love yourself? Because as you know, and most people who come on here, we we have a lot of outcasts, right? People who were like, man, I was always that kid who, everybody was like, wow, that kid's into weird stuff. Or, when I was in fifth grade, I'm like, at a Catholic school, I'm going, I think the Bible was translated incorrectly. And they're like, what? You need to leave this school,
Oh
right?
my god.
Yeah, no, that really happened for real. I had I had these crazy thoughts and these crazy, understanding of things that were much, much different than what was acceptable at the time. And I was not afraid to express them, even
Mhm.
to the nuns, which sometimes got
Cracked
me
ya.
reprimanded. Yeah.
Yep.
But I realized really quickly that that was not a good fit. But yeah, I mean, so a lot of people that come on here are the people who are like, I've always been kind of different. I've always been kind of, maybe a little outcast or maybe like a loner or like whatever, because of the things they're into. So like, how did
I
you get
feel
to the
that.
point where you're like, that thing that makes me different is my superpower, And I'm cool with expressing that, not only expressing it, but showing it on a world scale. Like I'm gonna put this out here all the time for everybody to come and see. How did that
Yeah.
happen?
Well, honestly, um, I will tell you where I came from versus where I'm at now. I was a person who went to the gym 7 days a week because I felt that I need to be a particular version physically of myself for to be loved because I associated skinniness with love. Oh, that was awful.
Hmm.
Anyways, I did actually probably 5 years ago. I just recently lost a bunch of weight again due to illnesses, but I gained a bunch of weight. Long story short, I was at this weight like 5 years ago and I hated
Hmm.
myself. I hated it. And I was like, I thought being this much weight, I would
Would make you happy.
I would be happy.
Hmm.
And so that's where I was. I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like what I was thinking. I didn't really enjoy who I was around. I mean, um, yeah, that's kind of where I was. And
Hmm.
see, the thing is with human design gives you your blueprint so that you can be happy with your life about who you are and become more eased and more peaceful with that. And the thing is, is that once I started to respond to my yes and no, and I mean, I hold true to it 100% of the time because I am convinced that this is for me.
Right.
Um, one decision at a time, I started to see light back in my life. And I know this is June,
Mm-hmm.
but only in November of this past year did I find hope. I didn't
Wow.
know when it left, but it did.
Mm-hmm.
I have hope in my life again. That's amazing. But the thing that really got me is that I actually, when I was 60 pounds heavier,
Mm-hmm.
well above 200 pounds, I loved myself unconditionally through and through, every atom. And I was really, really confused about that. How can I love myself at my highest weight and I hated myself at my lowest? And that
Mm.
actually kind of scared me. It's like, oh, I'm going to keep this weight because I'm comfortable with it. It actually scared me mentally.
Mm.
But when I found out that I loved myself at those highest weights, I was like, oh, I can't wait until my body becomes healthier, not
Mm-hmm.
skinnier, but I
Yeah.
can't wait till my body becomes healthier so I can actually enjoy it again.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just found out, and I've been studying this for like 5 years myself, is
Mm-hmm.
that this profile up in your chart, that is your mask on stage. And
Mm-hmm.
I was wearing a different profile. I was acting again according to what people wanted me to be. So if I'm wearing a mask that doesn't fit me, it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If I'm wearing a costume that was made for a 4 foot person and I'm almost 6 feet, that's going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to be able to say my yes and no, I moved through all of the costumes that I was supposed to wear, I guess, and I finally found the one. And
Yeah.
I am comfortable and I am happy and I am at peace and with my life and what I'm doing with who I have around me because I allowed that I actually put on my proper mask. And by putting on my proper mask or my costume on stage, it's by saying my yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point by being able to wear my proper clothes and feel comfortable in my body by saying yes and no. And that's a big deal. I know a lot of people are not comfortable in their body. I see
Yeah.
it. It's because I experienced it for the first 30 years of my life. So,
Yeah. That's interesting because, I am, I would say I'm fairly comfortable in my body. But the thing that's been messing with me lately is that when I sit here and I feel my energy body, I feel like I'm wearing a sumo suit. In an inflatable and sumo suit. So like you see those people that wear them and usually
yeah.
they're tall and thin and then they have this suit on. Like I feel like I'm inside my body and then it's just this thing, right?
Yeah. And that's what I
And
felt like too.
yeah, it's very strange and it's not that I don't love myself or my body, but it's just it doesn't feel like my exterior size doesn't feel like it fits what's inside of it.
Hmm.
And so, I'm starting, I mean, basically tomorrow, starting, towards getting back into better health and eating proper.
Ooh, I wonder
Because
if you do that through your strategy and authority, if it would help out.
maybe, but I want to, I need to do it because I do have some health related things that,
Right.
are minor, but I do struggle with. But more importantly, I started looking at it as like, I don't have a goal weight or a goal size. I just want my exterior to match what I feel like I'm supposed to be. Like I basically want my body to adjust on its own and become the
Mhm.
way that it's supposed to be instead
Yeah.
of the way that I thought it should be. Right.
Exactly.
Whatever that
Exactly.
is, whatever
Yeah.
that is. Is that
Yeah.
muscular? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
that, thinner? I do believe so. Yes.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. And when you come to that point where you look at your body like that, it definitely changes some things in your mind. And
Mhm.
it's weird. You would think that like, I have a wife and kids. You would think that, well, surely that's enough motivation to do it. Nope. You would think, well, it's your body. You want to live longer. Surely that's enough to do it. Nope. Right.
No.
The thing that's really gotten me in the right mindset for it now is I realize my purpose and what I'm supposed to do and I need to make sure that my body is healthy enough to last as long as it needs to for me to see that through.
That's beautiful. See, I see the difference between your words. It's like before you were like, I need to.
Right.
And then for your purpose, you're like, I want to. So
Absolutely.
that's a complete difference. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey to get there mentally, but I
Hmm.
feel like now everything else is there. The only thing that's left to fall in line and match the rest is just my actual physical body, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that's going to become the next thing, and
That's
by
beautiful.
getting my physical body in line with the rest, it will allow the other things to flow more natural and the way that they're supposed to, because everything is connected. So yeah, so that's going to be the next thing. I'm definitely going to like catalog that.
That's
um
beautiful. That's beautiful. I love it.
yeah.
I really, when we're talking about, see, at this point, I'm not on a diet. I don't go to the gym. I just respond to, literally, I woke up in the middle of the night at 4 o'clock. Ooh, I want a cookie. So I got out
Right.
of bed and I got a freaking cookie. But when I woke up, I understood why. It's because my body felt a little bit weak and weird.
Right.
So once I got real food into me, I stopped feeling that way. But my
Right.
body woke up in the middle of the night to tell me there was something wrong.
Yeah. um
So,
I'm going to switch back over to
sure,
your browser,
sure.
and if you would like to share. So K80lyn just launched a line that is really, really cool. It's called Let's Get Gemstoned. And I can, let her talk about it and show you. But I would like to show the people who are watching on YouTube a little bit about it. Definitely check it out at let's get gemstoned.ca. And if you are interested in booking human design services, you can go to K80lyn.ca,
Yes.
Katielyn.ca, and do that. But yeah, let's talk about this launch for a couple
Yes.
minutes, because it's really cool and it's unique, and it's cool. I mean, when you launched it on Twitch and we were watching and we were going through things, I'm saying to my wife like, "Oh man, that particular pattern kind of looks like camo. That's really really popular and really hot right now." Like, nature makes the best patterns and
Mhm.
the best geometry, and the fact that you've done this and that it's so unique is really cool. And so yeah, let's just
Yeah,
do that.
so as a streamer, it's like mandatory that you fill out all the check boxes of, oh, I have an overlay, I got merch, I got this, I got that, So merch was actually something that came into my life because I had to, but this was 2.5 years ago.
Mhm.
I actually made a product, and my fiance was like, really? And he was like, why not this? And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. So a new invention was made into the world. And what I'm about to show you is not what we were talking about. What I'm releasing is actually a sidestep from what I call the invention. But
Mhm.
this doesn't exist on Amazon in this mass. It doesn't exist on eBay. It just doesn't exist. So what I did was I took a picture of my own gemstones. So we can see this Amazonite is the first, or Amazonite, however you
Mhm.
decide to call it. Um, it's a blue stone, for those of you listening in. And I took a picture of it and I smashed it right into patterns. So
And it looks like water-ish.
it does look like water.
Yeah.
So these patterns are all gemstones, and beneath the patterns, we can see what they're called. But we have uh, gemstone printed merch. So we
Mhm.
see snakeskin agate here, rhodochrosite, lepidolite, leopardite, cat's eye, black obsidian, brown tiger's eye, what we consider turquoise, but it's actually dyed howlite, Dalmatian agate, labradorite, etc. And pyrite,
Mhm.
that one is the one that looks like camo.
Yeah, it's really
But
cool.
we have over 150 items that have launched instantly just yesterday. Promotional items have not, or marketing has not been done on this yet because I was just trying to preserve the idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is 150, more than 150 items on this website of just merch that has to do with gemstone printed merch. I love this Dalmatian agate one. It's awesome. But
They look so good, and like the different styles and the different merch choices you made, like the patterns work really well on them. And just so you know if you're listening, so she took high res photos of the gemstones that she uses during divination, both on Twitch and I'm sure in personal,
Yeah.
life, and has taken that zoomed in high quality shot and made it a sublimation pattern on
Yes.
clothing. So it's high quality. It's not going to fade. It's not going to scratch off like it does, like, the puffy paint kind of, print on
Mhm.
kind of situation. Um, and they're beautiful. I mean, they're just absolutely beautiful. I mean, my wife yesterday was like, I want this, I want this, I want this. I'm like, I will hook you up. Don't worry. But
Yeah.
they're just really cool. And they look, some of the patterns look like other things you're familiar with. And then some of them look unlike anything you've ever seen. Like I
Mhm.
said, the pyrite in my mind is like, if you were a kid and you went to one of those places where you could like sift through the sand and get gemstones, you might get a pyrite. It's, fool's gold is I believe
Yeah.
one of the things, right? And when it's zoomed in like that, it really does sort of look like a camouflage. But what's
Yeah.
cool is you're actually wearing the energetic signature and the
Mhm.
metaphysical properties of that stone on the clothing. So if you're having
Exactly.
issues with grounding, for example, you could get some of this merch and literally wear a stone that has the medical physical properties of grounding, you know, and you're wearing it. Everyone else is like, man, that's a cool, that's a really cool like pattern or whatever. And you're literally getting the benefits of that energy. That's how energy works.
Yeah, so one of the things that I decided not to do was to brand the clothing with
Hmm.
like words because gemstones are not words. Gemstones are metaphysical properties. So that's the reason why you don't see a brand name on this. If you want a brand name named hoodie, you can go get a brand name hoodie. But you know, this is to honor the stone 100%
Hmm.
and not to not for me to be seen, but for you to enjoy the metaphysical properties of this.
Yeah.
So at the moment, we have hoodies, sweaters, crop tops, bathing suits, joggers, capris, shorts, and skirts. And that was just for the launch. We've already put a new one on since yesterday. So we do plan on having daily releases up until March of 2022.
Wow.
So as you
Wait,
can,
wait, hold on. Pause. Sorry.
yep,
Daily releases up until March of 2022.
yes,
That's 9 months
yeah,
ish. Every
yeah.
single day for 9 months, you're going to have a new. So when you say new release, are you saying like now we have a new hoodie that's this stone, or literally we have a new stone and it's available in these couple different things?
Well, for instance, it's going to be different variations of that.
Okay.
Um, Later in the summer, I will be adding new products to the malachite.
Hmm.
I'm going to be doing undies, t-shirts, um, and different, maybe a toque or socks or something.
Yeah.
But this is where I am going to put, when I do put new products on for colors that we already have, like malachite,
Hmm.
it's going to be a bunch added in one day. And
Nice.
that's what I'm going to be considering that product. But yeah, there's going to be new color stones coming as well. We have amethyst, we have mahogany jasper. Um, yeah, so there's going to be a ton of different ones released color wise and item
Mm.
wise.
I just so you know, I
Yep.
will not be purchasing underwear that boosts fertility. That I will be staying very clear of that. However, hoodies and joggers, different story, possibly. Um,
That's so
I am
funny. Oh my
excited for
God.
amethyst, though. I'm
Yeah,
amethyst is my jam. I have several,
that's beautiful.
and it's always my favorite. And so anything, I love the teal and I love the purple. So interestingly enough, because you know me as streaming under Young Kings,
Right.
like you, I actually started with the merch first. When I
Hmm.
first started Young Kings and I started streaming, I had the merch first, and I was like, I'm gonna stream and try to create a following so that I can sell merch.
Right.
That turned into I really don't care if anybody buys this stuff. I actually just want to wear it myself. I love it. And if
Yeah.
other people buy it, that's great. Whatever.
That's kind of
And
where I'm coming from.
yeah. No, and I could totally see that too. Like this is stuff where I'm like, I make stuff that I like, and if other
Mhm.
people like it, that's great. Buy it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you
Yeah.
know, you're in a situation where this is going to become a supplement to all your business ventures and things like that. But I definitely get at the end of the day, like
Mm.
you have a very strong connection and love for those gemstones,
I do.
and now you can wear them on your body, you know,
Oh,
and take them
yes.
with you.
Yes, it's so
So
exciting.
it's very
When
cool.
I was so disappointed that nothing like this existed, and I was like, if something did exist like this, I would buy it all. So I
Hmm.
just kinda created it because it
Those are the
didn't.
best ideas,
Yeah,
honestly.
so, for here, what we're seeing here is not what I intended to release at all.
Hmm.
My intended release actually is a whole different idea that you've also never seen that has to do with gemstones.
Yep.
So cool. But yeah, we're not releasing that until fall.
Okay.
But what we're doing until fall is we're going to be releasing some metaphysically accurate funnies, I guess you could say. You
Hmm.
know, let me ask my gems. That's I mean, it's not. I mean, this is the one that I bought for myself because that's what I wanted on my products. So I bought it for myself. I made it for myself.
I love that it's on like this burly bearded tattooed guy that like
Yeah.
you know that's like, man, that's not what I would expect. But listen, beard, tattoos,
Yeah.
giant giant crystals all over my house.
Exactly. Exactly, exactly. So, you know, this line is no gender.
Yeah.
It's not meant for women or men. It's meant for all genders.
Are all your clothes unisex? Because I see that it
They
says
are.
unisex.
Well,
That's
I
cool.
mean, I there are some what a person would consider a more female product, but I
Hmm.
don't try to market as that. But
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Maybe the cut is different.
yeah,
Hmm.
unfortunately, my swimsuit models only come in female.
Yeah.
So, but you'll notice that. Oh, I don't even know what I said you're going to notice. But regarding my launch in the future, I'm
Mhm.
just so pumped because this is what I'm going to be working on over in the summer. And by this, I'm talking about the intuitive fun
Yeah.
while I release the remainder of the patterned gemstone
Mm.
merch.
It's really, really, really cool. I definitely recommend if you're listening on audio, you really should check it out on YouTube so that you can see some of the things. But if you can't or you don't want to, definitely make sure you go to letsgetgemstoned.ca
Mhm.
and check that out. Again, if you want to look at scheduling any kind of psychic intuitive services, you know, with Katielyn, it's K80lyn.ca is where you can go to do that. She is, you know, an amazing human being. Super glad that I stumbled across your stream and that we've been able to become friends and go through all this.
For sure.
Can we get a little, like, maybe just a little hint? Like, are you dropping something later today or tomorrow? Can we get a
Um, yeah, there will be, honestly, I I will tell you exactly what's being dropped today.
let's get
If
it
we go
exclusive.
to our lo-fi series and we can see the first gemstone or the first hoodie that's up there.
Mhm.
This particular hoodie is actually printed with amazonite color.
Yeah.
So I want to do this I actually have to remake that. I don't like it. It's too
Mhm.
low. I need to
Mhm.
put it up 2 inches. As you see, I'm very anal. It
There's
needs to go.
listen, eh, speaking of that, in Kanye, have you seen the stuff that Kanye has gone through to just even get apparel out? That guy is so anal and OCD
Mhm,
about that
mhm,
merch and about the exact, I mean, it's insane. If you ever go and you look at his Instagram or anything and see the behind the scenes things where he's gotten prototypes and, you know, it looks like it's kind of the same color, but it's like literally 35 shades of the same color with just a slight variation, and then he narrows it down to one. I mean, if when you see them next to each other, most people would probably look at most of them and say, "Man, it's really hard to tell the difference unless you look at the whole gamut." Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
And so yeah, I mean that is one of the best qualities, in my opinion, of somebody who is releasing anything apparel is that you are very picky
I
because
am.
and you bought some, I mean, you bought your own stuff before
Mhm,
you released this to make sure
mhm,
that it was up to standards, which most
mhm,
people don't. And I
mhm.
know this from being a marketer. Most people will open a print on demand shop. They have no idea what it looks like. They have no idea the quality. and they're just like, whatever, I'm here to sell stuff, and
Yeah,
they don't they don't
it
care.
has to be, it has to be good. I
Hmm.
can't let a crap product leave my vicinity.
Yeah.
And in the fact that this particular title is 2 inches too low, I'm gonna go fix that and add a new
Yep.
one today.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very anal about my products, and I need to edit images like to make sure that they're perfect so that they're not just gross ending up on clothing. I
Yeah.
spend a lot of time and effort, and I'm just so proud of what I've put out, and I just can't wait to put out what's left.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely will be getting something, and so will my wife. I actually bought a shirt from a DJ that streams named Thess Fisher, and I love electronic dance music, and she streams, electronic. And
yeah,
the shirt that I got, it's like a smiley face, but the eyes are headphones, and then there's a smile, so it looks like
yep,
that dazed
I
and
know that
confused kind
one.
of smile, right? And when I got it, I told my wife, I'm like, I'm really kind of disappointed in this. I love the design and I love the shirt and I like her music, but it's off centered on the 2X size. It's off centered about an inch and a half to the left, so it's not dead center of my chest when I wear it. And I was like, that's really disheartening. And there's a part of me that wants to be like, listen, this isn't printed in the center. And then there's the other part of me that's like, it's unique, it's fine, whatever. I don't even feel like
Yeah,
going through the hassle. But I'm
yeah,
the type of person that if I was putting that out, I would be like, "No, it has to be centered." Yeah.
yeah, I noticed the imperfection instantly. Nobody wants
Yep.
that across their chest. They need it 2 inches up.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what my merch is. It
Mhm.
is in honor of the gemstone, not physical gemstones, but printed gemstone.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I think it's genius, actually. I think it's really cool. I love the idea that you're able to carry those metaphysical properties, with you on something, because again, that is the way energy works. You don't need to have the physical stone
Yeah.
there. And it's just very smart. It's very smart. It's very cool. Definitely, anybody that is watching or listening needs to check it out. I'm sure there's something on there that you will like.
And on top of it, it's not even necessarily if you're not into spiritual or metaphysical things, the patterns are not seen out
Mhm.
there. Like the snakeskin agate one that I'm staring at, that does not exist.
No.
We could have a bright blue one somewhere, but it doesn't look like water.
Right.
I've never seen ever in my life a leopardite anything.
No.
And let's just bring it down to facts. How many companies sell Dalmatian or cow products? Really? Like,
Mhm.
I see people trying to stain their clothes with, different items, but there's out of just regular clothing, where do you see this?
Yeah.
I don't.
No, I like I said, it's completely unique, and it looks great. I know just based off of your stream yesterday going over the quality, it's high quality stuff. You wouldn't put it out if it wasn't.
No.
And yeah, I mean it's just really cool. So I recommend that everybody definitely check it out. Is there anything else that you want to plug? I know you stream on
Yeah.
Twitch pretty much almost every day. So if you want to plug anything, go ahead and
The
do that.
only thing that I want to say about human design is that there's a lot of fakers out there trying to say that they're an analyst.
Mhm.
So if you're going to learn human design without a leader or a teacher, because a lot of people like the free stuff first,
Right.
please use the schools as your references. There are a list of the faculty in each school, so the International Human Design School, the Jovian Archive, or the Human America Design School, or sorry, Human Design America School.
Mhm.
So there's 3 schools. They have a list of their faculty there. If you're gonna watch YouTube videos, don't watch anybody unless they're on that faculty list. And there are people who do have their YouTube channels that are from the faculty list. So there's not a lot that are actually analysts. And I
Mhm.
just want to forewarn you that you may get improper information. And
Yeah.
there is free information. Just make sure that you do your cross referencing from the 3 schools to YouTube if that's what you
Mhm.
choose to do.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, basically, you get what you pay for,
It
right?
is true.
Yeah,
It is true.
I've learned that lesson the hard way many, many times, including, having something fixed by somebody because they were much cheaper than everyone else, only to have it then, fail and have it fixed by a professional that cost what I should have paid in the beginning. So essentially, I overpaid because I had to pay two people to fix it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get what you pay for. In all circumstances that you can deal with a professional, obviously. Check
Yeah.
out Katie's stuff. Thank you for your time and for
Thank
talking to
you.
us about human design. As always, I do love talking to you, and I love your streams. And everybody needs to check her out and check out her merch on Let's Get Gemstoned.ca. And I'm sorry, it's Let's, not Let, right?
Yeah, it's Let's with an
I
S.
just
Let's Get Gemstones
I
because
just
I
realized
have
that the S was
trademarked.
missing there.
Oh, it's been going down on Let's Get Gemstone down at the bottom the whole time properly. So
Yeah.
we're good.
So, yeah, sorry. So it's let's get gemstone.ca. It was correct on the very bottom ticker, but not this little panel that was up. So I apologize for that. But definitely check it out. Like I said, my intention is to get a few things in my household as well. So I'm excited for that. It's a fantastic idea. You're a fantastic human being, and
Oh,
I
you
appreciate
are.
you. And we definitely need to, maybe bring you back on for a different topic down the road if
Oh,
you're
thank
interested.
you. Yes,
And
I really enjoyed my time today. I could have talked about 4 more hours.
I, I bet, yeah, I bet there's so much to it, that you can just really dive deep into all that stuff. The cool thing about some of the stuff we talked about when it came to metaphysics and things is that hopefully the podcast after this will be from Air Brandy, who's
Ooh,
also a streamer, and she's very, very, very educated and rooted in quantum physics and
nice.
metaphysics. So we'll be talking about some of those things, on the next podcast, I believe, as well. But thank you for everybody for listening and for watching. Make sure you share. Make sure you check out Katielyn's stuff. And I appreciate you all so much. And I'm grateful for you. And thank you. And thank you for coming on as my guest.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.